I'm just going to kind of go through everything. I'm working through this in my head. I'm hoping to answer questions by doing this. I want to try to explain why we're not becoming something, why we don't remember anything after death, reincarnation, heaven, hell, the shadows, the sparteil, the Treemends. I want to try to wrap them all together. I want to try to explain each one of them and why and how they affect us. I'm just going to start out first. Let's just talk about Earth, world. This isn't the Earth. This universe is all in God's mind. Everything that you see around you is in His mind. He made everything here. Now, He made everything here out of nothing. And to try to explain nothing, nothing is, think of it as a circle, and on the other side is God's mind, is something. And they came together, and through this process, nothing opened up and started to become something. It went all the way, it found anything it could. It would keep going down further and further inside of itself to become something until it found everything. I mean, we're talking about the smallest of the small. We're talking about Higgs particles. We're talking about smaller than that. We're talking about things in between things. The smallest of small became something inside of it. And they kept becoming stuff, and they kept becoming stuff till it became so much. The entire everything that was anything became something inside of God's mind that formed God's mind. That because nothing was attracted to this something. Something just started. It was an arc, and caused nothing to start to become something. So everything just started to expand outwards. It started to move forward. So this is how the universe started. And God started the universe out of one nothing. One nothing. Now there's billions and billions and billions and billions and billions and trillions of nothings out there trying to become something. So He wanted to allow nothing to become something from the universe that they helped create. So He created world soul objects and these worlds here to allow them to become something. And plus allow them to become something in these worlds. Because they're on the other side. He wanted to allow them to become something here, the physical world. And through this process that He set up is to allow us to become something here, to allow everything to become here, to become something here again, and then for everything to end up becoming something here. As it becomes something over and over again, we can become ourselves here and permanently here, because that's we've been around since the beginning of time, trying to become something. And we've moved up. We've moved up through the first dimension, the second dimension, and the third dimension. This world, Earth, was allowed. And if I take nothing, and I take one nothing, and inside of nothing, if I look at it, if I was to look at it all laid out in a circle, it would be full of circles. And it would be tigers, bears, leopards, dinosaur, fish, insects, everything. So God put everything inside of nothing to allow all these things to become something again. Our world is inherited. It came from another world. So He already knew what had to be inside of this. And He can go along. This becomes a template. I go along to another planet very close to Earth and I can do the same thing. The chances of man becoming something over and over again is the same as a Corvette becoming something on a planet over and over again. it had direction. We have direction. So we were given a direction. This world was given a direction. Inside of nothing down here, when they first started, they had everything inside of them. Then they keep becoming more and more. So these are very minute, and more and more and more. As the smallest items, then they can become something again and again and again. As nothing moved across five times, he has to become himself. Then he'll become everything inside himself till he can't become himself again. Then he'll go to the next one. And he'll become everything inside of that. This has all been planned out. All these minds had everything inside of them to allow everything to happen in order that they were supposed to happen. To allow them things to become something here. And they pass through. The insect would become itself here, or the atom, and they would allow it to pass through. And they'd allow these things, each and every one of them. So they'd move over, and pretty soon Earth would have an atmosphere. It would have water, oxygen. It would have a lot of things. A lot of things would already be here too, that were also in his mind, that they just had to become again and again. So nothing is allowing all those things to come through them, and the end goal is to become themselves only. So when there is no longer anything else in here, and this is all filled up with all the things that can become something, moving over, dear, everything that's inside of them that they've allowed, now they can become themselves only. Now they want to become man. They allow man to become something here, and that's the final thing that they allow to become something. So man becomes something. And now man is able to come over here, and man starts to form. So now we have man. Now, once they start to have a mind, they can start to become themselves together. So what they'll do is they'll form, all these minds will open up, and they'll open up, and they'll become themselves inside themselves here. Now, that creates one mind. These can be broken apart, but this became something. Now, when this does, this becomes your first mind inside your mind. This is my first mind. Now, I'm becoming something here, so that mind now has everything that's inside of me. I can become myself inside of here. I can become myself inside myself. This connects me to here. Now I've become something inside of Gaia's mind. This is the first time. And all the air, oxygen, atoms, molecules, protozoa, all the way up to where we are, has already been through this path, and now they're all here on this earth too. Water, everything. It's created everything there. Man was the last thing to go, to make it across. Now, they will do this every time. Now, when you become something there, you can become something again up here into the next frequency. And I call these frequencies, this would be the second frequency, the first, second, third, fourth, and fifth frequencies. And they correspond with the number of minds that Gaia has. Now, Gaia has to keep becoming herself. So Gaia, when they can no longer become something here, all this is gone. They can no longer become something there. Gaia goes out and she becomes the second frequency. She figures out how to... She's this here. Now she becomes something inside of herself like we did. Now she'll become something again. Now that allows us to become something again. So we can now become something here. And we let everything become something here. Now we're moving everything out. Here again, all the things that are supposed to be here, all the things that are supposed to be here, until we become ourselves again. And now, I don't want to confuse this, because man's here, these processes have already begun. They've already went out and became everything, right? So all these steps were already in here. Everything was already becoming something. Now, the thing is that the last thing was to become man. Now, man hadn't started. When man starts to form here, then they can become it. So this didn't start until here. But in life, we have to become ourselves. Now, I always talk about yourself. You have to become yourself. Okay, and what I mean by that is that you have a container, a soul container. And that soul container would be a lot like this. And all your parts, everything inside of you, becomes something inside of that until it fills it up. Now you've become yourself, and like I say, then these worlds have already been opened up. Gaia has already done all this. We've moved all the way through here. She's already become all 5 minds. Everything that's supposed to be crossing over has been crossing over. And now man's formed. They find a mind. They start to become that mind. It just moved in that order. It was all allowed. Once they find a mind and they start to figure themselves out, they'll start to fill in and become themselves, inside themselves. So you see we got 5 here, we got 5 here, and now we just became ourselves inside ourselves here. And when we die and we're reincarnated, we can pass through again. We're allowed. So anything in this bracket is allowed to become something again. Anything that's not won't become something again. Now all those things, Gaia has a mind's mind too. And she's becoming herself. She's the biggest thing in here. So she takes everything that can't become something again inside of her. And all those things are allowed to become something inside of her. Again, inside of her only, not in these worlds. They don't get to become something in these worlds. Now, there's the Treemends. I talk about Treemends. And so these are minds, and these are Treemends. Now Treemends occur on her side. She's the mother, and these Treemends are basically what she's the mother of, and of everything else, of course. But the Treemends, they have spots inside of each one of them, positions inside of each one of them. Now, every time you become yourself can build up inside of here in your life. So now it's yourself, yourself. So if I become myself many times, I now all of a sudden have a clock. This is the amount of time. The Treemend will attach to you here. Call it your cherry cord, they call it. The Treemend will attach to you here, and what it does is every time you'll get all this time until you can't become yourself again. When you can't become yourself again, you come back here and you reincarnate. Now this process will continue to go through, continue to happen, and the more and more you start becoming yourself, these minds start becoming themselves. The last step is becoming ourselves. We become ourselves inside ourselves, inside ourselves, inside ourselves. Now, you don't move from here, you become yourself here too. So now you have a body here, here, you have a body here, and you have a Treemend on each one. These Treemends connect each one of these places together and connects you to here. Now we can go ahead. So when you're in meditation, you should be able to move into each one of these minds if you have become something. Nobody's ever become something. I can guarantee you that. I don't want to be an ass. I know a lot of you say, oh, I connected with my higher mind. You have 5 higher minds. You have 5 minds inside your mind. And these are astral projections, OBs, stuff like that. Now, I'm not bringing in shadows or anything like that yet. I just want you to know that these minds, the Treemends, are your time. They're time that you're allowed to become something inside of these worlds. The more times you become yourself in life, figuring yourself out, the more you can keep becoming something here. So it is possible to become yourself in just a couple of years. All these pieces to become something in all these places. Now, once you move to the 5th location, up here, and you become yourself. And Gaia's become herself, you know, hair and whatever. And she's become herself. Now, this world is going to become something all the time. She becomes something all the time. Now, she can take all this stuff that's moving through here, passing through. All this stuff keeps passing through our minds and coming over here into these worlds. So deer, bears, fish, whatever, they're growing and becoming something here too. And they'll reincarnate. Just the things that are allowed. Nothing else. Anything that isn't allowed becomes something inside of her minds. Inside of her, inside the veil. This is the center. We think, you know, the furthest we ever get is we get into here. And when we get here, we can't become something because something's always attacking us. Something's always attaching to us. Now, there's two players in this field, and I call one the sparteil. Backwards, it's lie and traps, and that's what it does. And the other one is the shadows. Now, both of them attack us from different positions. The sparteil attack us from here, are attacking us here. And the shadows, they're attacking us here. We become something inside of them there. And then they can become themselves, and then they become something inside of us. And they take this yourself from us. This is time. They're looking for time. So they got time. This is time. The Treemends is time. And they're taking our time. Now, they're not feeding on you, physically feeding on you, taking your energy. They're taking your time. They're sucking away your ability to become something after death. When you die, and say you only had one yourself, you get a few moments over here, and if you never become yourself but one time and you did it here, you'd only get to become something in Gaia here, and only for a short period of time. If I had become myself many times in life, become my yourself, then I would get I could become all these, and if I become something right up here to the fifth, I never have to be born again here. Because the next step would be is to get Gaia to become herself up here. Now I want her to form up here. This gives me a chance to become something in the fourth dimension. I can't make it to the fourth dimension if I can't even get into the first spot here. A lot of you, if you start to close your eyes and you meditate and you look for the light shades, the light and the dark shades, and you're just trying to observe. First of all, you need to become nothing inside yourself to become yourself only. You always clear yourself. Get everything out of your mind's mind, wherever you're at. And this is the hardest thing because you don't know where you're at. If you have become yourself, you're any of 25 different minds you're entering in. Somebody will sit there, oh, I looked into you and you had a bad element. Where are you at? You know, what are you looking at? Because you're any of these 25 pieces. If she's down here seeing you, and when you're in here, you've become something a few times more than her. You're never going to see that. And whatever she's looking at, she don't know where she's at. How the hell can she know what the hell's hitting you? Everybody has something going on inside of them. This was set up this way to keep anybody from becoming something. Your hell is the fact that you just keep going through this circle. You just keep coming back and reincarnating. You're not crossing over and getting to become yourself. To be able to live in heaven, or you could call this heaven. I mean, it would be your magic. Things could, you could heal yourself. You could heal your cells. You could become. You don't have to worry about death and dying, and you don't have to worry about killing and surviving. You can enjoy yourself. You can enjoy the luxuries of life, the things that you've created here, without being pressured in time and everything else. The only time you have to worry about is the number of times you have inside of yourself that you become yourself. Now, the sparteil are using your treatment. Not only are they stealing yourself, they're taking other yourselves and they're placing them in here and they're knotting them in here. This becomes one mind. So they're tricking you. They're keeping you from ever becoming yourself because you can't become this. You're this person, you can't become this, so they've blocked you off. They have permanently made sure you can never make it here. You guys, everybody wants to know, well, what can I do to connect to myself? Well, the best way to connect to yourself is just to keep trying to become clear. As long as you got shadow visits, you're having astral projections, you're having people enter into your dreams, you're seeing things, you're not clear. These people are, the shadows are either inside of you or the sparteil has affected you. And himself and herself, I talk about this a lot of times. Himself, the sun used the shadows to make sure that nothing could become something. But what happened was the sun brought man up here into this top place. Now, man is a single entity. He never has to go through this. It would be something that can't become something. So it'd be, let's say I'm allowed and Tom's not allowed. Now I've built it. I've been here since the beginning of this time. I've done everything to build this world. I've done everything to make sure that everything crosses through to make that world. Now all of a sudden this man that can't become something again, just because he lived 400 or 500 years, had become yourself many, many times inside of himself. He still has a soul, he still has the ability to become yourself, or his self inside himself, his container. So now he's got all this time. Now he's stealing our time. He wants to steal our time. He's taking our time and trying to become us. This allows him to become something here all the time. Right now they're using what I call nothing to buy time with. And nothing, they've taken nothing and they've placed it inside of one individual. And he's connected down through here, and this allows this world to keep becoming something because they block Gaia. So they're just using that one person to do this. And they will enter into him to become themselves again, and then they can go become themselves. Okay, Gaia, or not Gaia, but for moving over the sun, what I was saying about the sun is the shadows had, he had created the shadows, but another group of men came here, they seen what the sun had done, and they couldn't find the sun. The sun had gotten tricked by these men before this group, the 12 I call them, came here, and man had already gotten here, and they seen what the shadows would do. Now the 12 were men, just regular men that couldn't become something again. And they came here, and they looked for the sun, and they seen what he had done, so they converted, they changed, they got up here, they spoke with man, and they decided to, they knew the problems that they were having, so they took the sun's problem, the shadows, and they created the sparteil. The sparteil give them time. The sparteil is basically just the Treemends, but with a knot in it. And that knot buys them time. And what they're doing is they're coming down in here, inside of your mind's mind, and they're placing that knot inside of you. Each one of these would have a knot in it. They're making the minds become nothing inside themselves to become something here. And that creates a knot. Now that knot has to be specific. It has to be Mom, Dad, Aunt Joe, Billy Bob, you know, all. And these are the people that you're going to see in your astral projections most of the time, is these same people over and over again. They have to stay very similar to the yourselves they have in here. Now what they're doing is they're creating nothing By doing this, they're creating nothing to become something inside themselves. They can live here forever and ever and ever and ever. They never have to worry about anything, and they're going to do it through you by becoming your mind's mind. Now, I don't want to go worrying anybody about that, because that ain't going to be a problem after long. I just wanted to try to work through why we're only the allowed are reincarnating. Only the allowed. 500 million souls are reincarnating. That's it. That's all the number of minds that are in here. Them minds, each one of them, the 500 million carried millions and millions and millions and millions and billions and trillions of things with them, and that's all the things that have become something here. So now they want to become themselves. They can't become themselves, and himself, the peace. Okay, becoming nothing inside yourself. Let me explain this real quick. The sun would become, let's do this right here. I want to explain this really quick, because this is very hard for people to understand. There has to be something. Okay, nothing is a world soul object with many children. This is what it would mean if I said you had nothing inside of you. They go inside of your mind here. Now the 12 released the sparteil originally on Earth just inside our veil. Just inside the veil between here and here. And they released nothing there. Now, we all have nothing inside of us. This nothing is producing everything, many, many, many yourselves. Also, it's taking in everything around you, trees. It's taking in they're constantly moving into you. I've seen where this might have went wrong, and they had a guy sitting there, and they opened up the top of his head, and there was a world inside of there, and I got to drop down onto that world and see that world a little bit, but not much before it became nothing inside of him. It's not a good thing to have nothing inside of you. And I think that's what they're going to do, because now what do they do with all the allowed? These men and women are becoming themselves. They're using your mind's mind. Now they have to do something with you. So what they plan on doing is, when you die, you'll become yourself, and you're gonna just lay down on the ground, and you're gonna have this world form inside of you, and you become yourself inside yourself. And that world will produce, you'll just be inside your mind in a world that, and it won't be good. Now they take this, you spend many times in here till this becomes nothing. She'll keep becoming nothing and nothing and nothing till it closes up and there's nothing to become. And this gets rid of you. This gets rid of the allowed humans. Now they become themselves here. They've got your mind's mind. They can be born here if they want to. They can stay here if they want to. They can do whatever the hell they want. And because of the hollow, this allows them access a tunnel between these worlds and these worlds. So they can become something in either world. They don't have to be born. I guess I said born. They don't have to be born. They just cross over. They walk out into these real worlds. Or they can stay in this guy's mind up here. These will be real worlds too. But they'll have so much more. They'll own everything. They'll have everything that they want. I know there's other control factors. There's so much going on in here that it isn't even funny. There's a lot of activity happening here, and a lot of people are being messed up by this. You're being attacked. Even the so-called people saying their mantras and saying, doing this spell cast, I'm safe because I have Beelzebub protecting me. No, you don't. You have a shadow protecting you. The shadow is just taking away your time. That's all he's doing. You're giving him time. He makes you become yourself. Boom. you became yourself, he takes that time away. That gives him a chance to kind of move across too, because he's not limited. He can become something here, but he can't become something solid. But most of the time, he has to spend his time in here. But if he gets time, he can become himself here. And you give him time. That's all he's doing, is eating time from you. And then he becomes you, so he can become you here. You never get to see that. You never even get to be over there. They're stealing everything from us to keep us from ever becoming ourselves. And they put us in this loop here so that they can live their lives, the shadows can become themselves there. Everybody's living in heaven, and we're left in hell. So you can take it however you want, but this is exactly what's happening to all of us because of the amount of time they're stealing from us all the time. And other than that, that's what's happening. That's why we're having this problem. That's why we're reincarnating. We got 6.5 billion not allowed people on the planet. I mean, if this world died and the allowed didn't become themselves, these worlds and Gaia didn't become herself, none of these worlds would exist. God did this to allow nothing to become themselves. All those of you that I say are allowed, you've been around since the beginning of time. You've moved up. You've become more and more things. He's allowed you to become something in these worlds. And you deserve these worlds. You deserve to have these worlds to you and not to be stolen by man that can't become something again. Because that's what we did. We got 6.5 billion not allowed. Now, if our life spans went out, now you'd have 6.5 billion people that think they deserve to be here, which they don't. They weren't here from the beginning of time, and nothing stopped them from populating the world. Now,